Hello friends, welcome to College Planning Video Part 2. If you missed College Planning Video Part 1, please go back and watch that. Today in our college planning journey, we're going to talk about college selectivity, choosing your 6 that you will apply to, some college research tools, as well as how to create kind of a data keeping record sheet for yourself. All right, so let's start off by understanding college selectivity here. So first, we've got the highly selective schools. In Missouri, the highly selective schools mostly are just WashU and St. Louis. Other examples of that where we have sent Winnetonka Griffins would be Stanford. We have one student who's gone to Stanford ever, Purdue, Wake Forest, and Northwestern in Chicago. Those are all highly selective universities that we've sent kids to from Winnetonka, that we have kids there right now. Usually the ACT average starts with the number 3 on those kind of colleges, and a lot of them take the Common App or the Coalition App, depending on which college, and you can talk about that more if you're going to apply to a highly selective. A level down from that would be your selective universities. Those are like your small privates usually. TCU is one, that's why SuperFrog is on your screen right now. University of Denver, private school in Denver, University of Tulsa, private school in Tulsa would be selective. Usually their average ACT scores 20 to 25. A lot of them take the Common App. Local ones would include William Jewell, Rockhurst, Avila, schools like that. Down from that is your traditionally selective schools. Those are schools like MU and KU, like big flagship schools like Nebraska. Usually their scores average between 23 and 27, although there are some kids who will have a lower score than that who are able to get into those universities. The application fee for the flagship universities is usually like $65, even sometimes more than that. But they do accept waivers if you are on free and reduced lunch. So let me know if you need one of those waivers. And then finally, you have score optional schools, where a lot more schools are going score optional just because they realize that the ACT is not the end all be all of everything. And so Missouri Western State University has a long time been a score optional school, but now more and more schools are becoming that, particularly because of COVID. So let me know if you have a question about score optional. Metropolitan Community College is score optional, anyone can go, and our traditional HBCUs are also score optional schools. All right, so then how do you choose which schools you're going to apply to? So you should probably narrow your choices down to about 6. So your stretch and dream schools, you should only really apply to 2 of those. So they could be a stretch school because they are out of state, and so they require out-of-state tuition. Remember that KU is basically MU with different colors. I mean, it's basically the same thing, only you pay twice as much to go to Kansas as you do to go to Columbia. So you have to figure out if that's worth it to you. So that would be an example of a stretch school just because of tuition. It could be that you barely meet the minimum requirements, and so you're going to be asking those schools for an exception, in which case that's a stretch school for you. And it could be that it's a really perfect fit, but it's just really expensive. An example of that would be like Rockhurst. Like, they've got a great nursing program if you can afford to pay $60,000 a year, or whatever it is. Or it could be a stretch school because it's an Ivy League or a baby Ivy, and it's just highly selective, and you might not get in. So there's that one. So please limit yourself to about 2 of those, remembering that if you go apply to one flagship school, they're basically all kind of the same, depends on just kind of where they are. Then you should probably apply to 2 best fit schools. Your best fit schools are usually going to be in-state tuition or tuition that you can, like an out-of-state tuition that does reciprocity, which means that they honor in-state tuition for Missouri. Some of our neighboring out-of-state colleges do that, not KU, however. Make sure that it has your desired program of study. So if you want to be a nursing major, don't go to a place where they don't offer nursing. That would be kind of silly. A best fit school would be where you meet the admission requirements. When you look up the average ACT score, you're right there in that range, and that you think you can make the money work. Don't forget not to be freaked out by sticker price of colleges, because nobody pays a sticker price, right? Like, so everyone gets some kind of a grants or loans or scholarships or whatever, so don't freak out only about that. Your safe schools or your fallback schools, probably just 1 or 2 of these. They could be a score optional school like MCC. There's absolutely nothing wrong with putting some time into getting your MCC application done. Everybody should do that so they don't just wind up like in your mom's basement for a year while you wait. Please make sure you have that done, but that's not the best fallback school for everyone. Make sure you have your UMKC, your Northwest, Missouri State, those applications done, because those are really good, safe schools to fall back on. There's absolutely nothing wrong with going to UMKC for a year while you try to figure things out, right? Or for 4 years, actually. UMKC is a great school. So that's how you choose your 6. So what are some things to consider when you're trying to decide what school would be a good fit for you? First of all, when you're researching schools, size is really important. If you are a kid that needs to get to know your professors pretty well, and you do better when you have a personal relationship with your teachers, then you want to look at the professor to student ratio. If you are going to be fine sitting in a lecture hall of 600 at Mizzou, where nobody takes attendance and you just click when you know the answer, then that is something. If like, the rah-rah big sports and stuff are really important to you, then that's going to be an important factor to consider. If you don't care about all that and it's really more important to you that you have a relationship with your professors, then that student-teacher ratio is going to be important. Also, the strength of program. If you want to be competitive for nursing school, then you need to look at pre-nursing programs that are competitive and that have a good reputation in the metro area. You don't want to go to a subpar nursing program just because you could get in, right? So you want to make sure that you look at the strength of program. Also, look at pre-professional opportunities. So pre-professional opportunities are like pre-nursing, pre-dental, pre-pharmacy, pre-architecture. There are a whole bunch of them. But what's nice about them is you don't have to test into the professional program if you get into the pre-pro program ahead of time. So if you're interested in any of those fields, please come talk to me about how to get into that pre-pro program and also what the possible benefits would be for that. And then you need to consider distance from home. Is it important to you to be able to drive home on the weekends? Do you have a little brother or sister that you help with their education and you need to be able to come home on the weekends or when they need you? Or do you need to get the heck out of Dodge and get away from your family? Any of those would be okay. They're mowing the lawn, excuse me. Okay, for some reason, every time I try to make a video outside, they decide it's time to mow the lawn. I don't know, so sorry about that. Anyway, we were talking about distance from home. So make sure that you're far enough away from home to make you comfortable, but not so far that you're going to be miserable. Keep in mind when you're thinking about cost of college that the cost of flying home is also something to consider. So if you go far away and you're going to have to pay for 2 or 3 plane tickets on the way home, every year, that's something that adds to your budget concerns or considerations, I guess. Of course, the cost of tuition and room and board and books and fees will be something to consider, as well as, is it important to you to be in an urban environment? Would you like to be in downtown Kansas City or downtown St. Louis or Chicago or something like that? Do you like the concept of a college town like Kirksville or Ames, Iowa, or whatever, if that is more appealing to you? So those are all things to consider when you're making your decision about where to apply. There are some resources at your disposal so that you don't have to fish around on college websites all the time to try to find out the information that you need. One of my favorites is Capex College. You have to actually put in Capex College into Google and it'll come up. I'll show you an example in a second. Also, Big Future by College Board is another really good resource, as well as individual college websites that you can go and look for the information. Let me show you Capex College. So if you go to you put Capex College into the search bar, this is what will come up, this image right here. And then as you scroll down to the very bottom, it's going to ask you to be a member, and you don't need to be a member unless you just want to, okay? At the very bottom of Capex College is this search bar. Where do you want to go to college? You can put in any of the colleges that you're researching, and you can find information. So here's TCU. Of course, I always put in my alma mater because go Horned Frogs. So you can see the lovely frog fountain right here. What I like about Capex College is that along the left-hand side, there are all of these tabs are always the same. So if I'm trying to compare TCU to Rice, for example, or to William Jewell or something like that, I can find the majors, the tuition, academics, all of that stuff along the same. I don't have to dig around on the website to find the information, which is really helpful. So you can use this. Big Future is similar. I didn't take screenshots of Big Future, but please know that you have that resource at your disposal as well. Oh, I did take a screenshot of Big Future. Okay. Lies. Sorry. I'm not re-recording this either. So you can look up your colleges by name, and it'll be very similar when it comes to the setup. The purpose of these two websites is to avoid having to dig around on each college's website to find the exact same information. I just want to know tuition, man, like just tell me tuition. If that's the case, you can look on these two websites to find that out. Then I would suggest that you take the time to make a spreadsheet. So, outside of my screen, there we go, we can scooch it over a little bit. This is a spreadsheet that I just created in Excel, and you can do this in Excel or you can do this in Google Sheets, either one, especially if you want to share this with me. I have had some students who already shared their college research. If you do that, I can also start to add other colleges that I just know about that have the programs you're looking for, and then you can go in and add that research to your spreadsheet as well. So I've got the things across the top that are important to me, and these things could be different for you depending on what's important to you, right? So I wanted to know in-state versus out-of-state tuition, room and board in case I wanted to live with an aunt or something instead of living on campus, average ACT score just to let me know my competitiveness when it comes to getting into these colleges, and then some things that were interesting to me as a researcher as I look to see which college I'm interested in. Finally, let's talk a little bit about college visits. Those are going to be kind of weird this year. So I don't think we're going to have any tours with the group, but I do think that you should try to get on campus to see what it feels like. My family did one college visit this summer because we're weird, and my 8.5-year-old wants to go to Iowa State, and so we did a college visit with him. It was masks on, and we also did not go in and tour around in a bunch of facilities or anything like that. So we looked around the outside. We got a feel for the campus. We picnicked out in the lawn. We talked about the mask regulations. We went into the bookstore. He chose a shirt, that type of thing. So I do think you should put your feet on the ground of the universities. It did give us an idea of what the hustle and bustle of Iowa State is actually like. So please let me help you. If I need to help you make your arrangements for a college visit, I will absolutely help you do that. Okay, so your next steps as a college kid, future college kid, as a senior. Please start exploring online. You basically have the month of September to do your college research. So let's go ahead and get that started. Create your spreadsheet or whatever system you're going to use to keep track of your top colleges and the factors that will help you make a decision when it comes time for that, which is not yet. Finally, dig through your college mail bucket and get rid of some stuff. My guess is that your college mail bucket is overflowing and overwhelming. And you're getting college emails from things like Bryn Mawr. You're like, where even is that? And that's an all-girls school and I'm a boy. Go through those college buckets and recycle some of that stuff or bring it in here and take it to the college advisor's office or something. You don't need all of that stuff, particularly now that we have access to everything online, virtual tours and things like that. So don't be overwhelmed by the pile. Narrow it down to things that are important to you. Utilize your spreadsheets in order to make the most sense of what you've got. And the next college conversation we'll have will be about money, okay? So look for that closer at the end of September when we're close to FAFSA, okay? Peace out. Love you. Talk to you soon. Bye.